Russia has refused to rule out a nuclear strike on Ukraine, pointing to its military doctrine which allows for the use of atomic weapons when facing an existential threat. The Kremlin's Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko was asked if Vladimir Putin would carry out a preemptive tactical attack against Kyiv. He replied, "We have a military doctrine, everything is written there. The official military deployment principles allow for the use of nuclear weapons if they, or other types of weapons of mass destruction, are used against Russia. They can also be used if the Russian state faces an existential threat from conventional weapons, allowing for a broad interpretation." Ukraine has already used conventional missiles to strike targets within Russia's borders. The decision to use Russia's vast nuclear arsenal, the biggest in the world, rests with Putin. In recent weeks he has been spotted with his nuclear football, the suitcase which allows him to order a nuclear strike from anywhere in the world. His special doomsday plane which allows him to continue ruling Russia during a nuclear war has also been seen flying around Moscow. CIA Director William Burns said on Saturday that Putin believes he cannot afford to lose in Ukraine and cautioned that the West could not ignore the risk of the use of tactical nuclear weapons by Moscow. "We don't see, as an intelligence community, practical evidence at this point of Russian planning for a deployment or even use of tactical nuclear weapons," Burns said. He cautioned, though, that the stakes are very high for Putin's Russia. A decree signed by Putin on June 2, 2020, said Russia views its nuclear weapons as exclusively a means of deterrence. It repeats the phraseology of the military doctrine but adds details about 4 circumstances under which a nuclear strike would be ordered. These include reliable information of a ballistic missile attack on Russia and an enemy's attack on critical state or military installations of the Russian Federation, the incapacitation of which would lead to the disruption of the response by nuclear forces. During Monday's Victory Day celebrations, Putin showed off Russia's nuclear missile launchers during Moscow's Red Square parade. And just last week, Russia carried out simulated launches of nuclear-capable missiles from an enclave of territory in mainland Europe. War games taking place in Kaliningrad, a chunk of Russian territory sandwiched between Poland and Lithuania on the Baltic Sea, involved electronic launches of Iskander ballistic missiles, Moscow's defense ministry said. Iskander crews practiced hitting targets including enemy missile systems, airfields, infrastructure and military command posts, the ministry added, before maneuvering to avoid a retaliatory strike. The drills did not involve any actual missiles being fired. Russia has increasingly resorted to nuclear saber-rattling as the war in Ukraine has stumbled, with state media issuing near-daily threats. State propagandists threatened on at least 3 occasions to destroy the UK with nuclear weapons, while also suggesting Paris and Berlin could be targeted. Putin also issued a threat that was widely perceived to be nuclear, saying any country deemed to be interfering in Ukraine would face a lightning-fast retaliation using weapons no other country can boast of. The phrase is assumed to be a reference to Russia's new Sarmat-2 nuclear missile, which Putin had tested just days earlier and referred to at the time as unique. It echoes a threat Putin made at the start of the war, saying any nation that seeks to block his special military operation will face consequences unseen in their history. Just a few days later he ordered Defense Ministry Sergei Shoigu to place Russia's nuclear forces on special alert, a phrase that typically means increasing the readiness of nuclear weapons. While some nukes are kept in a state of constant readiness, the majority of warheads are stored separate from their launch systems and in a deactivated state. Increasing nuclear readiness can mean activating warheads and pairing them up with launch systems. It could also mean dispersing those systems across a wide territory to reduce the odds of them being destroyed before they can be used. But, despite Putin's order, U.S. intelligence says it has seen no signs that Russia has actually increased its nuclear alert status. James Heappey, the UK Armed Forces Minister, also dismissed the Kremlin's rhetoric as bravado and said the fact that Russia is resorting to such threats indicates its invasion is not going to plan.